Today we're going to continue our printmaking assignment. So yesterday you transferred your design from your paper onto your block and you started carving it. If you need to finish carving it, do that first. But when you think it's all nice and carved and the lines are deep enough, you are going to start printing. So when it's time to print, you will be using ink. There's lots of different colors to choose from. You can choose to just use one color or you can use multiple colors. It's totally up to you. I'm going to start by using 3 colors just for fun. So you want to squeeze no bigger than a finger length of ink onto your paper. So I see that's not quite a finger length, so I'll do a little bit more. Okay, so about as long as my finger. Make sure you put the lids back on so that they don't make a mess everywhere. If you're just doing one color, then you're good. But if you're doing multiple colors, you can squeeze them all. And you want them to be a little bit of space in between, but not too much. Ooh. Sometimes they come out like gooey like that because they've been sitting in my closet all summer. So if you put the lid on and just squish it around, sometimes that helps. Let's see if that worked at all. There we go. All right, so then you need to use this fancy tool. It's called a brayer. So it's just basically a little roller. I don't know why they named it a brayer, but that's what it's called. And you're going to roll your colors out on your wax paper. And you do need to hold the wax paper down. It should stay attached on the side here. If it does come off and you want to tape it to your table to make it easier, just ask me for some tape. But your goal is to get this nice and smooth and thin. You don't want it thick and globby and chunky, because if it's thick and globby and chunky, it's going to get into the lines on your nice carved block that you made. So I feel like this is a little too much ink. It's still kind of thick and globby and chunky even though I'm rolling it out. So I might move over to another paper. I'm not going to get rid of this one. I still want the ink that's on here. I'll just move that to the side and I'm going to roll it out so it's thinner on this piece of paper. There we go. All right, so now it's nice and thin and smooth and it's on my brayer. And the next thing I'm going to do is roll it onto my stamp. So let me move this so you can see better. So I'm just going to go up and down, and you need to get the whole stamp covered, even the corners and the edges. And I would recommend at least doing 2 layers of ink on here, maybe more if you feel like it needs it. If you just roll it once, especially the first time you print, it's probably not going to be enough ink. All right, and the goal is for it not to get into your carved lines. If it looks like it got in your carved lines, it might still print okay, so try it. If it doesn't print okay, then you might need to clean this off and dry it and carve your lines deeper. Okay, so I'm going to set this to the side. I'm going to keep this side pointed up so that it doesn't get all over the table. Less mess for me to clean up later. Then I'm either going to choose a white paper from my art folder, or I put out some other colors of paper that you can use as well if you'd prefer that. And you're going to place the paper on top of your stamp. And you want to take a clean, dry brayer. This one's a bigger one, doesn't really matter though. And use that to press on the back of the paper. Make sure you get all the corners, all the edges, get the middle. You might want to go the opposite direction, because if you don't press something, it's not going to show up very well. Now usually the first print turns out the worst because it's the first time you did it, it's the first time you inked your block. So don't stress if this doesn't turn out great. The cool thing about printing is you can make more. Okay, so we'll peel it off, and I'm pretty happy with that one. Normally, it's very normal for there to be some little white textury spots and for it to not be like 100% perfect with printmaking. So don't worry about that. If you want to use the same colors again, you can just get more ink on your brayer and roll it on your block again. If you want to use a different color and you think it would mix okay with the colors that you already have, you could just put the new color on top of the old colors and mix them together like this. But if you want to use a completely new color and it won't look good with the old colors, you can just rip this page off, carefully put it in the garbage, and start on a fresh page. If you don't want it to mix with the colors on your block, you'll have to wash your block off, dry it off, and then put ink on it again. So again, I want it to be nice and smooth. I don't mind it mixing, so I'm just going to roll it directly onto my block again. Remember, at least 2 times you should roll on your block, possibly more. Make sure it's coated really well. Get the corners, get the edges. I have a weird chunk in the middle, so I'm gonna take that off. Again, the ink's been sitting in my closet all summer, so there might be some weird stuff happening. Okay, so then, again, I can choose a color or a white piece of paper. Maybe I'll do a color this time. Place the paper on top and press it with the brayer. Get all the corners, get all the edges, make sure it's all pressed down. And you want to do this until you get 3 successful prints, 3 that you can see your design clearly, you're happy with them. If you mess up on one, you can do more than 3 if you need to. You don't want to waste paper and do a bajillion, but I'd say up to 10 prints would be acceptable. And there's another one. So when you're finished for the day, you might not get all 3 finished in one day, and that's okay. You're going to place your wet prints onto a placemat. So it's just a fancy kind of thickish piece of paper. And you're going to slide them onto the drying rack so that they can dry. And if they're dry by the end of class, you can put them in your art folder. If they're not dry by the end of class, you can collect them tomorrow when you come to art. Let me know if you have any questions or need any help. That's what I'm here for. Have fun.